I watched an HOA security guard point his loaded Glock at my girlfriend's chest over a parking space. His hands trembled with excitement, not fear. This small-time tyrant had finally found his moment of power until her brother's name flashed on her phone. The look on his face when he realized who he was threatening? Priceless. What happened next to that security guard and the corrupt HOA board who enabled him? Let's just say karma has a way of finding those who abuse power, and they never saw the hurricane of justice coming their way. Let me tell you how one parking dispute exposed a dark fraud scheme and changed an entire community forever. It was one of those Saturday afternoons that felt like it should be framed and hung on a wall. Clear skies, a gentle breeze, 72 degrees, a perfect day in every way. I was waiting for my girlfriend, Elena, to arrive at my apartment in Briarwood Estates, a supposedly upscale complex run by what I'd soon discover was the HOA from hell. I'd lived there for about 2 years without major problems. Pay the dues, follow some basic rules, and you were fine. At least that's what I thought. That illusion shattered that day. That morning, I had cleaned my entire apartment because Elena had allergies and I wanted everything perfect. We'd been dating just over a year, and I was genuinely excited to cook dinner for her favorite, penne with sun-dried tomatoes and spinach. Elena worked as an administrative assistant for the Federal Justice Department. She was calm, clever, and always composed. I was in IT at a healthcare firm, not as exciting, but it paid the bills and let me live in a decent place despite ever-rising HOA fees. She texted me saying she had arrived but was having trouble parking. Not unusual, visitor spots filled quickly. The HOA rules were clear. If visitor spaces were full, guests could use the overflow parking near the clubhouse. I texted her back, told her to park there, and went back to cooking. 14 minutes later, everything changed. I got a text from Elena, SOS, security guard confrontation in parking lot. Help, followed by a pin location. I dropped everything, sprinted down 3 flights of stairs. The elevator, as usual, was under maintenance and raced to the lot. When I got there, I froze. Elena was backed against her car, hands slightly raised. In front of her stood a man in a navy blue uniform with the word security in bold yellow across the back. But the part that made my heart stop? The Glock in his hand. Not holstered. Not pointed down. Pointed straight at my girlfriend. I later learned his name. Barry Whitaker. 52 years old. A former cop fired for excessive force and racial profiling. 3 complaints, 2 investigations, and a separation agreement that barred him from carrying a firearm as part of employment. Of course, the HOA either didn't know or didn't care. Hey! What the hell is going on? I shouted. Barry turned and now the gun was on me. Stay back. This doesn't concern you. Elena looked eerily calm. Her hand was in her purse, subtly texting. I realized she was contacting her brother, Marcusa U.S. Marshal. Barry, I said, trying to sound calm, put the gun down. No one's resisting you. He sneered. I am the law here. A crowd had begun to gather from the balconies above. No one came closer. A woman walking her dog turned and quickly left. No one wanted to get near a man with a gun. What Barry didn't know was that Elena had sent Marcus our location and an audio clip. He was 15 minutes away. The rules state you can't park here, Barry ranted. Paragraph 2, Section C. Unauthorized vehicles are subject to enforcement. But overflow parking is allowed, I said. Page 26, subsection B. He turned red. I interpret the rules. I began discreetly recording him. Elena kept him talking. Her tone was smooth and deliberate, poking holes in his authority. Do all parking violations come with loaded weapons pointed at civilians? She asked. Barry puffed up. I was on the force. I know how to deal with people like you. Just as he launched into another rant, a voice interrupted. What the hell is going on here? It was Denise Carter, the HOA president. She looked alarmed. Barry, put the gun down, she hissed, glancing around nervously. You hired me to enforce order, Barry snapped. The tension escalated until Elena's phone buzzed with a message. Stay put. I'm here. Police sirens howled in the distance. Barry paled. He lowered the gun a few inches. Moments later, squad cars rolled in. Officer Niles, an experienced cop, stepped out. Put down the weapon. Now. Barry hesitated. Then, slowly, he complied. They cuffed him on the spot. And then Marcus arrived. Tall, calm, and intimidating in a tailored suit. He flashed his badge. Would someone care to explain why a man held my sister at gunpoint over a parking spot? Denise stammered. Barry tried to explain, but it unraveled fast. Detective Layla Grant ran Barry's info. Your permit expired 6 months ago. You were fired from Jefferson PD with a restriction from carrying firearms. You're in violation of that agreement. Denise tried to distance herself. We had no idea. The security company assured us. Lies, Barry shouted. You knew. You told me to do whatever it took to scare people straight. Residents murmured. Phones recorded everything. Denise's polished image was crumbling. Then came Thomas Young, a real estate lawyer who lived in the complex. He presented a binder of HOA corruption, illegal inspections, misuse of funds, biased enforcement. This is just the beginning. I gave the police my video. Elena shared her audio. The case was building fast. Detective Grant looked at Denise. We'd like you to come in for questioning. Barry was hauled away. As he passed me, he growled, You'll regret this. The HOA never forgets. I brushed it off. But that threat was real. The retaliation started immediately. Notices appeared. Violations for non-existent infractions. Elena's tires were slashed. Our neighbors stopped speaking to us. Posts I made online vanished. HOA members isolated us. Then Amanda Ray, the HOA secretary, approached me in secret. She whispered, Call me. Not from your phone. We met 2 days later. She revealed everything. William Durant, HOA vice president, owned 40% of Haven Point Properties, a development company buying units at low prices to flip them. Their goal? Own 75% of the complex and convert it to luxury condos. They were at 62%. Amanda gave me emails, ledgers, and board minutes. Durant's plan was to drive residents out through intimidation. With Marcus' help, we formed a resistance. Maria Sanchez, a teacher, James and Ruth Wilcox, retirees, Thomas, and a few others joined. We shared stories, collected proof, and built a network. Soon, Michael Tran, the only honest board member, handed us the smoking gun, financial documents showing Durant's shell companies funneling money from HOA accounts. Then came the last straw. I received a photo of Elena walking downtown, taken from afar, with a note, Pick her or your apartment. Marcus said, This is federal now. We met with the FBI. They opened a racketeering investigation. When the HOA called a mandatory community meeting, we saw the trap. But Marcus had a plan. The night of the meeting, Durant stood at the podium in a designer suit ready to announce sweeping rule changes. More fees. More control. Less freedom. I waited. Then, with Michael's help, I hijacked the projector. Emails, bank transfers, and contracts lit up the screen. Durant panicked. Elena spoke up. This is what your HOA has been doing. Driving us out for profit. Gasps filled the room. People began to speak. Maria. James. Ruth. Dozens of stories. Then the doors opened. The FBI entered with local police. Durant turned to flee but was blocked. William Durant, you are under arrest for wire fraud, embezzlement, and racketeering, the lead agent announced. Patricia, the former president, appeared and confirmed everything in a deal for leniency. In the months that followed, justice was served. Barry got 18 months. Durant and others were indicted. The company crumbled. Corrupt politicians resigned. Michael Tran became interim president. Fees dropped. Transparency returned. Elena and I stayed. We helped rebuild. Today, Riverside is a real community. Residents look out for each other. We share meals, laughter, and stories. 6 months later, I got a letter from another HOA neighborhood. We heard what you did. Can you help us? Elena smiled. Let's help one more. What started as a parking space turned into a revolution. Because sometimes the only way to stop abuse is to shine a light so bright it burns through the lies.